chairs are engineering.
Think about it.
Here to give us an update on construction management earlier facilities committee. And we're back down to tell us a little bit more about this stuff. No, they were just construction management.
My name is Lisa Chiapetta. I'm the communications director for Green Engineering. It's great to be back here. I know we're on a bit of a time crunch, so I want to move through this quickly. First, what I'd like to do is introduce the presenters that are here today. Also, your team. To my right or left is Zach Ceza. Zach is a certified project management professional. He also has 12 years of experience as a field representative. To his left is Arif Brazil. Arif is the principal in charge and a professional engineer with over 25 years of experience in public project planning, design, and construction. To his left is John Hartman. John is a licensed architect with over 30 years of experience in public educational projects. And last but not least, again, is Jim Hanna. Jim brings over 33 years of experience in public construction. With that, we'll get started with the presentation. Dewey Engineering was established in 1976. Over 80% of our business is dedicated to public education projects. We're also a certified minority business enterprise. But one of the things that Dewey apart is its personnel. I already introduced the team to you, but we call ourselves a team of professionals. It's because all of our staff has a variety of certifications and professional affiliations, some of which are listed on that slide. They also are professional engineers and master's architects. So now I'll make the turn over the presentation to Louise, and he'll begin to explain what we're excited to do for all your time.
Thank you very much. In the interest of being polite to the audience, I'll stay seated if that's okay. One of the things I think that makes us unique is that we have a portfolio that is exceptional when it comes to public schools projects. Every single one of our projects has been completed on time and on budget. And that track record has not happened by accident. It's really a function of our approach. And our approach is as simple as this. We treat every project like it's our own home. And in addition to that, we treat each project with a select list of priorities that you see up on the board. And we make sure all the way through the project that we hit every one of those priorities. And I'll start with the first one. The first one is on time and on budget. Very, very important. The next one, and I'm not going to read through all of these, we do have a copy of the PowerPoint in the interest of time. But the next one is risk and liability reduction. One of the biggest challenges in public school construction is getting them done on time and on budget without issues. And that's where we specialize. We don't have any liability or any kind of claims of any of our projects. And that really is something I go to sleep at night really worrying about on your behalf on every project. Planning, organization, personnel, and you'll hear from our team. And the guys that are here today, including myself, are team members who are going to specifically work on your project. We're not a marketing team. We are not going to have different people work on your project. This is the group that you will see work on your project. And you'll hear from them in a minute. Final outcome. You're doing this project for a specific reason. One of the priorities has to be is to meet that final outcome. Exceed your expectation, achieve the owner criteria, whatever goes on. And if you notice, the last one is, what are your goals? I don't know those yet, but you may have others that we need to put up in addition to the ones I've already put up there as priorities. So at the end, we want to have checklists against all of them. Now your team in specific, Boyertown Area School District, you guys have to be in control. We want to manage this project so you remain in control of the project. And that's challenging these days with all of the different aspects that happen. And that is our job. You're going to see, I am going to be working on all of the front-end documents, managing your risk. I will prepare all of the Division 0001 documents, which are all the general conditions and everything else. In addition to that, we have a host of technical specialists, and you see Jim Hanna listed there. Jim is not only an estimating specialist, but Jim oversees all of our construction activities, and he'll oversee the entire project when it comes to construction, and will be involved directly in estimating. We have a whole group of technical specialists, so when we review things, as John will talk about, we have specialists that are in our office, all on staff, that are going to work and complement this team, and they're not here today. And then I'll talk about John Hartman, who you'll hear from in a minute. As Lisa said, over 30 years experience, but what John is exceptional at doing is putting together a set of bid documents that in the end lead to a successful project. What he's good at, and you'll see from his presentation, is making sure these documents are coordinated. That's what he's done for 30 years in public school projects, okay? Zach Zaza, what you'll find from him is somebody who is diligent, somebody who's eager to get the job done. He's gonna be the go-to guy, and he's not gonna leave anything undone, and that's the key. So with that, I'm gonna turn the presentation over to John.
Thank you, Ray. Plan the work, work the plan. That's our motto. Our planning process revolves around 6 elements. First element has to be complete understanding of the scope of the project. Along with that, we also have to have we as the project team have to have a complete understanding of the owner's criteria and programmatic requirements. Once we have that understanding, we can put together accurate cost estimates, functional phasing plans, elaborate constructability reviews, which all results in a clear, concise, complete bid documents, which is a cornerstone of competitive, on-budget bids. Let me talk about our estimates. Our estimates are clear, concise, as you can see, broken down by CSI division format. We also have line items for separate mechanical, electrical, plumbing costs. What this does is it makes all the project team members accountable for maintaining those budget costs at all times. We also have to include in our budget soft costs to come up with a realistic budget figure for your project. Once again, once we have the estimate, the budget estimate established, it's our responsibility to manage those costs with the whole project team through the course of the pre-design phase, pre-bid phase. Sorry. I apologize. There we go. It's my responsibility to keep all of the team members on track so they all have one common goal. And that common goal is to maintain that budget all the way across so there's no confusion at bid time and budgets come in on schedule. Milestone dates. We prevent milestone scheduling for all the project team members. That includes the owner, the architect, and us, the construction manager. Bottom line is, we must make sure this job is completed and ready to bid on the date that's defined in the schedule. No ifs, ands, or buts. So our responsibility to monitor this schedule all the time, to be proactive and make sure all milestones are met on time. Construction phasing, very simple. We phase this whole construction project as required for efficiency. We require, we'll establish a milestone schedule for each and every prime contractor for each phase of this construction. So there's no question about it. The project team knows exactly how to organize the construction document. Constructability review. As Marie said, this is where my passion lies. This is what I spent 25 years doing. What we do is we'll review the construction documents multiple times. We'll make sure that all those drawings are coordinated, those documents are coordinated with each other and with all the disciplines. Make sure that there's nothing missed, and we'll make sure that every one of your requirements for the project are included in those project documents. Case in point, take a typical chemistry lab. Owner has many requirements you probably do for your chemistry labs. Gas, fume hoods, electric. It's our responsibility when the documents come in for our constructability review to take that list of your requirements and make sure it's incorporated in our project so that when the project is completed, it's fully functional and you're getting exactly what you want. Another quick example is, in this case, let's look down. This is one of our, just a sample list of our constructability review comments. There's one right here, for instance, backflow preventer. Backflow preventer is shown on the mechanical and the plumbing drawings. Doesn't need to be shown in 2 places. Show it in one to avoid confusion. We reviewed it, we recommended that it be shown on the plumbing drawings. Problem solved. Last thing I'd like to talk to you about is the phasing. Phasing is a roadmap to a successful project, especially this type of project. We make sure that the phasing takes into account major safety of students. That's critical for everything in our phasing. We want to make sure that we have all emergency egress systems looked at. Make sure that there's clear egress, a number of egress paths. We want to make sure that the NEP systems remain operational through the whole course of the construction. What this means is a proper phasing plan allows for maximum construction efficiencies. And it also will create the least amount of disruption for your educational programs. You can see as we look at this building, at the plan, we have multiple areas where we need to control security and access to the site. We have the boiler room, existing boiler room down here, mechanical room. We have to make sure that the systems are all operational throughout this whole building during the course of construction. These are issues we have to deal with. This makes for a very complex puzzle, and we enjoy solving complex puzzles, because that's what we do. That's how we make the plan. And Zach, he'll explain to you how he works the plan.
Thank you, John. Work the plan. At Dewey Engineering, we have a philosophy, it's CAD philosophy. Communication, accountability, documentation. Communication, right from the get-go, communication is key. Why? To keep you, the Boyertown Area School District, in control of the project. How do we do that? With accountability. By the time we kick this project off, we will have a better understanding of the project probably than anybody else. If we see contractors on site with non-conforming work, we don't point fingers at them. We develop action plans and work through the scenario. With regular reviews of the schedule, we will know if the contractor is falling behind probably before they do. We've got milestones that John spoke of. That keeps the contractors on task. One of the tools we use for accountability is Project Mates. That's our web-based project management software. That houses all of the documents for the entire project. Specifications, RFIs, applications for payment. What's nice about Project Mates is it creates an archived record as soon as something is put in there, and everybody has access to this. The engineers, the architects, and the owner especially. It keeps the owner in control. Documentation, documentation, documentation. Another way to keep the school board in control of the project is letting them know what's happening on the project. So my job out there every day is to protect that project record. And one of the things we do is detailed reports and photographs, but more importantly, on a renovation such as this, there's going to be some unforeseens in the building. And to get those unforeseens marked on the drawing sets with the contractors daily or weekly is extremely important. So at the end of the project, not only do we turn over to you a complete record, receipts of attic stock and certificates of occupancies and warranties, but a set of drawings that reflects not only your new addition, but your renovation as well. Our CAD philosophy at work. You can see here, that is a rooftop unit. When I get that shop drawing out in the field, I'm going to check and make sure that the curve is accurate, make sure that the electricity voltage is there, so that when that rooftop unit gets set, there's no mistakes. This is a coordination drawing. We hold weekly coordination meetings with all of the primes in the project. So in an example like this, with the electrical, the HVAC, mechanical, the plumbing, all that needs to go, in this example, your ceiling space. So not only at the end of the project do you have a beautiful corridor, but above that ceiling, you have accessible, serviceable, and maintainable utilities throughout the life of your project. Another example of how I'll manage your project is to be your eyes and ears in the field. This is just one example of the many things we look at. From the design phase, making sure that the roof drains are sloped the proper way and nothing is missed, and all of this detail that goes into the flashing, the edge detail, the specified sealants. I'll make sure that by design, this is what's actually happening in the field, holding the contractors accountable for that line of detail. And lastly, from the phasing standpoint and the complexity that John has spoken of, my job is to make that complexity an advantage. The phase drawings we talked about, I'll be on site to assist with the principal and the staff to make sure that those egresses are set up correctly. You spoke of manageable areas to work in and keeping the contractors efficient at what they're doing. Lastly, if we choose to engage the students and staff, we could use this project as a teaching tool. So let me be the point of contact, and we will do the worrying for you so you don't have to.
So that's our short presentation. This last slide, as you can see, the check marks are coming up. And as I said before, we're very, very strong owner advocates. I mean, this is what we specialize in. Our only and primary responsibility will be to look after the interests of the Boyertown Area School District with the exceptional team that we have, the qualifications we have. And in the end, we want to basically have checklists on all of your priorities and make this another successful project that we can be proud of along with you. So with that, I think we kept within our timelines. That was another critical piece. Tough to do all of that in the time we had, so I hope you appreciate the fact that we were able to put it together.
Any questions?
How many people do you expect that you would have on site during construction full-time?
Okay, well, the process that we put together, we took a very detailed approach at your scope and identified it. We'll have one full-time person, for sure. We'll have oversight by John. And so John will attend job meetings as well as be out there weekly. We also have some time allocated for some technical specialists, which would be our mechanical specialist, Jim Hanna, myself, and those would be on an as-needed basis. But the primary focus would be these four people right here, and not full-time, other than Zach being primarily full-time. But that's based on what we understood your scope to be. This is, by the way, a very large, challenging project. We do a lot of projects. Jim can just speak about one that he's just finished. Maybe you want to tell him about Liberty High School.
Yes, Liberty High School was a 5-year project with like 6 phases, and it was done with over 2,000 students in the school. So it's very similar to what you're looking at here, maintaining egress for students during fire drills, public coming in, keeping the systems operational. So I will get involved in this heavily, making sure that we keep those systems operational during design and construction, and making sure your exits are open, accessible, so everybody can get in and out of the building as necessary.
Do you have any metrics around change orders?
Yeah, we actually have a slide that shows you that, and actually we've talked to you about that before, but there's a slide. I mean, basically, if we are in control of the project with you, and we're doing the constructability reviews, and people are implementing those constructability reviews, okay, and really responding to them, our change orders have been less than 1% on most projects. We have some that are 0%. Unfortunately, we don't have total control over this because we actually have a slide in the back that has that information. I think it's slide 31, Lisa. You can get to it. There it is. There's a slide that shows you there's some at 0. There's one at 2% that was actually Freedom High School, and they actually added some additional scope once the project came in below budget. So, you know, our change order is exceptional. We're not going to sit here and tell you you're not going to have change orders. 90% of the time, we're working on a project right now for the community college, and a lot of times, the owner drives a lot of changes because as you see things coming together, you know, technologies and different things, and a lot of times the owner drives some of those changes, especially in a renovation project. You ever done something at your house, you know, you're working on your kitchen, next thing you know, oh, better take that out too, you know, so on and so forth. So, but in terms of our performance, I think, you know, our track record speaks for itself. We encourage you to check with our references. And, you know, that's another thing. Every one of our clients is a repeat client. We have the list up there. I don't know what list it is, but I mean, if you look at our list of school districts that, and every one of them is a repeat client, which I think speaks to the capabilities that, you know, how we perform and how we treat each project like this. I mean, that's really key.
Any other questions? I have a couple.
Yes, sir.
You indicated you would make bid documents and you would construct a milestone schedule. Isn't that duplicating what DI is doing?
It's our understanding that when I say the bid documents, we're not creating the design and engineering of the systems. But when I talk about the bid documents, there's a front end, which is the risk reduction, the general conditions, temporary facilities requirements, the summary of multiple crimes, which crime contractor gets assigned that, how we do unit prices, all of those tasks of the bid documents, we would like to have input into the scheduling requirements of the contractors, all of those. That's what I refer to the bid documents.
Okay, so you're actually reviewing them, not constructing them.
Well, we would prefer to give you what we have and integrate them because we believe they're better than anybody else's, but that's something that we could talk about, whether we cut and paste into something that, is already there. We are working with EI, by the way, on Ben Salem Township School District. It's a new high school renovation. And on that project, we are providing the division 00 and 01. There's 33 divisions of specifications. I'm only taking care of the first two, if that makes sense. Okay? It's more of the risk management piece, if you will. And then the milestone schedule will help with framing out the milestone schedule and documenting what the phasing will be, but it'll be the job of the architect and the consultants to design their systems to conform with that.
Okay, you were making positive statements, you're gonna construct them, but actually, you're working with the engineers and reviewing them, I guess, right? Okay. Now, you made another comment earlier about you work on the constructability and so forth of that, and you said you were saving some time of the items you have control over. Why wouldn't you have control over all of them?
Well, as you just pointed out, we're not the designers, so we can identify things that we see, but ultimately it's up to the design team to implement those things that we identify. And certainly there's, for example, I'll just give you a very simple thing, okay? I'm gonna identify whether there's a connection, proper connection shown from a beam to a column. But I am not designing that beam. I'm not doing the design calculations for the beam. So if the beam is undersized for an HVAC rooftop unit, you're not paying me to do a review of the design calculations for that. Does that help with the example?
All right,
There's
yeah.
a separation of, what I'm able to do based on the scope you've identified. Now, certainly, some people have paid us for a full peer review. A full peer review means I'm looking at every single calculation that the architects and engineers are producing, but it gets very costly. So that's not what you've asked for. You've asked for a constructability review, so there's a difference. I don't have total control, but we can identify the coordination constructability issues,
Okay.
right?
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
How would you rate our project? Would you rate it extremely complex, pretty basic?
We've spent, as you well know, we've spent some time trying to understand your project a little bit more maybe than some of our competitors have, because, and we've tried to give you some guidance as well through some communication we've had with the administration on some things that we've identified as possible, things you should look at. It's very complex, and it's complex because if you go back to the slide that John had, if you go back to the site slide, I mean, we didn't have enough time to spend on this. We were just saying this slide alone, we could talk to you about this slide alone for about 15, 20 minutes, okay? You've got additions going on, if I could borrow that. You've got additions going on at multiple locations, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different locations. And every addition, when you make a connection, it's complex, okay? Because I gotta get utilities up there, I gotta get power up there, I gotta address how the roof drains are getting tied in, sanitary, so on and so forth. This is complex. You've got both areas of your entrances, administration, both areas we're doing some construction. Our boiler room is located all the way at the far end of the building here, and I gotta make sure I can bring this building up online, and I need to bring it up online. And as far as I know, I believe the utilities are all coming from this location. I mean, we haven't gone into every detail, but I don't believe you have another utility section, another boiler room going in. Some of these are two-story additions, and your site restraints are pretty complex. So, hopefully you can get this road in. We'd like this one in. We could talk to you about that. We'd like that in because that'll help significantly with staging and phasing, because right now, everything's happening here. I mean, we've driven around this site a couple of times. We're still confused as to the traffic flow. I'm just being honest with you. And, you obviously have to fix that, but I gotta fix it while I'm renovating 270,000 square feet and building 130,000 square feet at 7 different locations. So I don't mean to scare you, but this is, John said this is a puzzle, you got a puzzle here.
Too late scaring us.
What's that? Too late. Well, we've been kind of asking the questions a little bit in the background. I mean, it's complex. You know, we've done, you know, Liberty High School, we gutted the whole center of the building, so we're not afraid. We had pilings and we we supported the whole 1923 building and took out the whole center of Liberty High School out, where the cafeteria was, the boiler room and everything. So we've done complex projects.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is, it's gotta be well thought out, it's gotta be thought out now, and the designers then have to integrate the thought out process that works into the design. If the design, if we start doing this after the design's done, then it becomes like an afterthought. And then the other piece is the budget. You know, we've really gotta look at the budget for this project because it's complex.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, critical issue is, this is a project where the construction documents must be coordinated with the phasing schedule. Because it's just too complex to leave it up to somebody to figure out when we're gonna start and stop.
Okay, well, I guess we had 20 minutes, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well said.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.